The battlefield stretched across the crystalline plains of Theta 7, littered with the remnants of what had been the Galactic Coalition's most elite strike force, 112 soldiers. That was the count transmitted back to command before communications went dark. 112 trained warriors from 6 different species, armed with plasma rifles and void shields, sent to eliminate a single target. They called her Vera. The Apex Mothers were the galaxy's most feared predators, 9 feet of corded muscle, razor-sharp claws that could slice through starship hull plating, and a territorial instinct so fierce that entire planetary systems had been quarantined just to avoid their hunting grounds. But Vara was different. She was the Apex Mother, the one whose kill count had become legend, whispered in fearful tones across 1,000 worlds. The Coalition had made a fatal miscalculation. They thought superior numbers and advanced weaponry could compensate for the primal fury of a mother protecting her young. The scattered armor and weapons told a different story, one written in claw marks and the eerie silence that follows absolute violence. Vara moved through the carnage with practiced ease, her amber eyes scanning for any remaining threats. Her cubs were hidden in the cave system 3 kilometers east, and she would allow nothing to reach them. Blood matted her silver-black fur, though none of it was hers. Her breathing remained steady, controlled. 112 had not been enough. She paused at the ridge overlooking her den, her acute hearing picking up something unexpected. Not the whir of charging weapons or the coordinated movements of soldiers. Something else. Something that made her muscles tense in a way that combat never could. Laughter, high-pitched, innocent, joyful laughter echoed from within her cave. Her cubs were making noise. They never made noise when danger was near. She had trained them better than that. Vara's lips curled back from her fangs as she launched into a sprint, covering the distance in seconds, her claws tearing into the rocky ground with each powerful stride. She burst into the cave entrance, ready to tear apart whatever threat had infiltrated her sanctuary, and then she stopped. Her 3 cubs, each the size of a full-grown human, were tumbling over each other in a playful pile. But they weren't alone. Sitting cross-legged in the center of the chaos was a human female, small and fragile by any galactic standard, with dark hair tied back and wearing the tattered remains of a civilian transport uniform. The human, Lena, according to the name patch barely visible on her torn jacket, was laughing as one cub batted playfully at her hands, while another nuzzled against her side. The third had managed to drape itself across her lap, purring with a deep rumble that Vara usually only heard when she groomed them herself. "Oh, hello there," Lena said, looking up at Vera with eyes that held no fear, no terror, no recognition of the death that stood before her. "You must be Mama. Your babies are absolutely precious." Vera's mind struggled to process the scene. This was a human. Humans were with the Coalition. The Coalition had just tried to kill her cubs. The logical response was clear. And yet, her smallest cub, Kess, the one who had always been the shyest, was headbutting Lena's shoulder affectionately, making soft, chirping sounds of contentment. Rawl, her middle cub, had rolled onto his back, exposing his vulnerable belly while Lena scratched behind his ears. And Tora, her eldest and most cautious, was grooming Lena's hair with surprising gentleness. "I crashed about 2 hours ago," Lena continued conversationally, as if she weren't addressing a creature that had just decimated an entire military force. "My transport got caught in the crossfire. I found this cave and, well, these 3 found me. I hope you don't mind. I shared my rations with them. They seemed hungry." Vara's nostrils flared, taking in the sense. Human, yes, but no weapons, no armor, no combat pheromones, just exhaustion, kindness, and the unmistakable scent of the nutrition bars from civilian emergency kits. Her cubs smelled happy, content, safe. The Apex Mother took one step forward, then another. Her predatory instincts screamed warnings, but something deeper, something older than hunting, older than territory, pulled her forward. She watched as Lena gently moved Tora aside and stood up, barely reaching Vera's chest even at full height. "I know you probably want me to leave," Lena said softly, making herself smaller, non-threatening. "I'll go. I just wanted to make sure they were okay. They're wonderful, you know. You've raised them well." Vara's ears twitched. The human was offering to leave, offering to walk away from the shelter of the cave, back out into the wilderness where Coalition reinforcements would surely come, where survival was unlikely, where Kess whimpered, pressing against Lena's leg. And then Vera did something that would have made the 112 fallen soldiers question everything they thought. They knew about Apex Mothers. She sat down, not in a defensive crouch, not in a position to strike. She simply sat, her massive frame settling onto the cave floor with surprising grace, her tail curling around her body. Her cubs immediately scrambled toward her, but Kess kept looking back at Lena, chirping insistently. I think, Vera rumbled, speaking Galactic Common for the first time in years, her voice like distant thunder, that you should stay. Lena blinked in surprise. You can talk, when there is something worth saying. Vara's amber eyes studied the small human with new understanding. My cubs have chosen you. They do not choose wrongly. The Coalition, Lena started. The Coalition sent soldiers to kill cubs, Vera interrupted, her tone darkening. You fed them. You played with them. You are not Coalition. Lena slowly sat back down and immediately all 3 cubs swarmed her again with Vara watching. The Apex Mother who had slain 112 soldiers without mercy tilted her head. Observing the strange human who had accomplished what no weapon could, she had walked into a predator's den and made it a home. What's your name? Lena asked, scratching Ral's chin. Vara. Thank you, Vara, for not eating me. For the first time in longer than she could remember, Vara made a sound that could almost be called a laugh. The night is young, small human. But her tone was gentle, and when Kess curled up against Lena's side, Vara moved closer, forming a protective wall around them all. Outside, Coalition ships would soon arrive, searching for survivors. They would find something far more dangerous than an Apex Mother. They would find a mother who had found a reason to show mercy, and that made her truly unpredictable.